So, Tim Pallas, as I said, I did speak privately with people who work at both Standard & Poor's and Moody's, and Victoria, this was 2 months ago, unofficially was on review. We now know that Tim Pallas is in New York negotiating with those two agencies, desperately trying to stop a credit rating cut here in Victoria. Our next guest is Chief Economist and Co-founder of Macro Business, Leith Van Onselen. Good morning.
G'day, Tom. How are you?
Well, good. Is there a high risk that our credit rating will be cut in this state?
Yeah, I think there is, mate. Victoria is Australia's most indebted state. It's got the worst credit rating already. And earlier this year, S&P Global projected that Victoria's debt could balloon out to nearly $250 billion by 2027, which is up from about $55 billion in 2019. And it also warned earlier this year, as you said a couple of months ago, that it could downgrade Victoria if it doesn't get its debt situation under control. So it certainly is a clear and present risk.
So what would it mean? I mean, we've already got the lowest credit rating of all the states and territories in Australia. If it was cut again, how much does that increase the interest rate that the government might have to pay?
Well, yeah, it's sort of hard to say how much it's going to increase it, but it's certainly going to increase the credit rating. And that obviously means that Victorians are going to have to pay either higher taxes or we're going to need to cut back on our other expenditure. So that means less infrastructure and less services. And that means that obviously it's going to be a hit to our living standards. So, it's a bad situation one way or the other.
And could it eventually feed into like our big banks who borrow money on our behalf, then lend it to us? Like if the government's credit rating goes down, could our big banks' credit rating also go down, thus affecting our mortgages?
I don't think so. I think the big banks' credit rating is more tied to the national credit rating. So this is obviously, our national government can issue its own currency. Victoria can't. So it's really an issue that's more segregated to Victoria, unfortunately.
Now, we were speaking earlier on the program about this apparent massive cut in road funding this year, or the year just gone. Typically the government spends $200 million a year on road maintenance. Last year it was only less than $40 million. Do you think that's sort of symptomatic? Are we likely to see lots of cuts now because our debt is out of control?
Yeah, and it's also symptomatic also of the suburban rail loop. So obviously our esteemed Premier made the foolish decision to sign the first couple contracts of the suburban rail loop. And this is estimated to cost over, about $200 billion once it all rolls out. And what this basically means is that we're not going to have money for all these other things. So we're already seeing hospital expenditure cut, road expenditure cut. And what it basically means is that all Victoria's growth areas are going to basically be starved of infrastructure for, potentially decades to come because we're funneling all our money into this boondoggle rail loop.
All right, well, it's not good news, but thank you for sharing it with us. Leith Van Onselen there, Chief Economist and Co-founder of Macro Business. Look, they won't do it, but they've got to ditch the suburban rail loop. Even if it is an important project, right now we simply cannot afford it.